Hey guys, Season 2, Episode 4 of the Halo series is here, and to kick things off, I have to give this episode a 10 out of 10 because we did not see Quan Ha at all. So this is straight away a must-watch episode. All joking aside, I thought this episode was crazy. It was very intense from start to finish, the CGI was awesome, and I really enjoyed the one-shot takes. I think this might be the best episode from this series so far, and yes, let's get the elephant out of the room straight away. The Master Chief, Riz, and Vanek fighting the Covenant during the Fall of Reach with no armor. When I saw the previews for this episode, I kept thinking, why are they not in armor? There is no reason they shouldn't be in their Spartan armor. And that was until we found out that Ackerson took their armor with him off Reach. And one thing that really hit home about this was that Ackerson said to Chief that he was a man in a suit. But this episode really showed us that Chief is one of the best of the best, even without his armor. I know some Halo fans are going to say it's crazy that Ackerson took away his armor, but I do think it's fitting with the character to try leave the Spartans as vulnerable as possible. He is currently organizing the Spartan 3 program. He doesn't care about the Spartan 2s. My guess is that he was anticipating the Spartans to die on Reach without their armor. And so far, he hasn't been wrong. And I'll talk about the Spartan death later in the video. I think this episode was written really well, and I know we all would have preferred to see the Spartans fighting in their armor, but I understand why we didn't. When the episode starts, we see Vanek trying to feed some birds. We've known since the first episode that he's loved animals, and I thought this was a very fitting scene for him. Immediately from that, we go to the first attack on Reach, and here Perez comes to the realization that her family and friends are dead, and Chief is really trying to push her along here so they can both get back to FleetCom. We then go to Soren and Halsey, and the two of them manage to escape and locate Cortana. And this is where they come head to head with the Arbiter and Maquis. Soren throws a grenade at the Arbiter and then flees, but unfortunately Maquis was able to retrieve Cortana. And let's be honest, if Maquis gets back to the rest of the Covenant with Cortana, humanity are essentially screwed. We all know that's not going to happen, of course, but still I thought that scene was interesting. It just raises the stakes a little more. Okay, this next bit I really enjoyed. It's the beginning of the one-shot takes for this episode, and it sees Chief spear tackle a cloaked elite. They both go through the glass and start throwing hands, and the scene is really sick. I gotta say, seeing Chief spear tackle the elite was really cool. The CGI and effects here were great. I think if I had to pick a negative for this episode, it would be the next scene. And this is where Chief and Perez go into this antique shop, and they discover the shop owner who's still in the store, and they're trying to tell her about the Covenant threat, yet she still won't leave. And it's one of those old sci-fi tropes that just you see all the time. So we spend a few minutes while they talk to her, and then they leave. You do see a classic Xbox in the background if you look close enough, and I thought that was a brilliant Easter egg. Master Chief then meets up with Riz on the street as they try to make their way towards FleetCom. There's a really awesome sequence here that I quite liked, and it was a nice touch to see Lewis fighting too. Even though he's blind and not a Spartan anymore, he still had something to give in the fight. And yes, it was his life, but he still managed to take down a Wraith. And guys, I have to say, I really loved seeing the Wraith. I believe that was the first time we've seen the Wraith in the Halo show, and I wish we saw a little bit more of it, but it looked so good. From there, Chief, Riz, and Vanek regroup at FleetCom. As I stated earlier, they couldn't get back to their armor thanks to Ackerson, and here we see Keyes give a really rousing speech. The whole episode felt really well written, and this scene in particular was executed perfectly. For the first time, the Marines get to see the Master Chief, not in his armor, but as vulnerable as all of them. And this is where Chief was able to prove to all of them that he really is the Spartan, even without his armor. I seriously think this is the first episode of the Halo series where I think it's made complete sense for him to be fighting the Covenant outside of his armor. We aren't seeing some weird sex scenes or odd scenes where he's completely nude. It's still the Master Chief, John 117 we all know, fighting the Covenant. And fair play to Pablo Schreiber, I thought he did an excellent job this episode. I thought this episode would only show the Wraith, but no, we also got to see the Scorpion tank. And once again, it was for a brief moment, but it was such an awesome scene, and it's rocking that beautiful classic design, and I'm really hoping that means we're going to see even more Scorpion tanks in the future. I do want to mention this short bit where Soren was with Keyes and Halsey going up the elevator. It was super awkward, and there was a ton of tension in the air, and at the same time, it was somewhat comedic. I just thought that was a funny bit worth mentioning. Now let's talk about one of the biggest moments in this episode, and that was the death of Admiral Keyes. I was not expecting it, I was not thinking they'd do it, but yes, they did kill him off, and I can't even lie, I thought his death was super badass, but it does make me wonder what they're going to do for the events of Halo. As we all know, Keyes was supposed to be there with Chief on the first Halo ring, and he was supposed to be infected by the Flood and have a really horrific death, but of course we aren't going to get that now. I have to imagine someone else is going to take his place, and I'm really curious to know who that'd be, and if you guys have any idea, please let me know in the comments below. And to close off the episode, we had an awesome engagement with Chief and the Arbiter. One of the Arbiter's elites shot the Master Chief with a plasma pistol, and there was no honor in that, and it took away the sport of the fight, so the Arbiter decided to decapitate the elite. And that was a very Arbiter thing to do, and then Vanek picked up a nearby needler and then started firing at the Arbiter. I was thinking for a brief moment the Arbiter was going to bite the dust, and then boom, he takes out the Blumite crystals, stabs it into Vanek, and then it super combines. I was really surprised they killed off Vanek. I was full on expecting them not to kill off any of the Spartans for a while, but it seems like they're replacing Noble Team with Silver Silver Team, in the sense that we're most likely going to lose the other members of Silver Team besides Chief. I think there's a good possibility Kai survives. However, after seeing Vanek die, I'm certain we are also going to see Riz die. Hopefully she goes out in a blaze of glory while being in her armor, but still it was really sad to see Vanek die. I really liked his character, but I thought his death scene was really well done, and it really showed off the threat of the Arbiter. I thought the final shot of him facing up towards the bird in the sky was a really great ending for him. Halo Season 2 Episode 4, Reach, gets a 9 out of 10. It is, in my opinion, the best episode this series has done so far. I'm really hoping the series can keep this momentum going. However, I'm pretty sure Quan is going to be in the next episode, so we'll see. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown and review, please do drop me a like, I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to support me that little bit extra, please do drop me a sub. It's completely free and it's the best way you can support me. Thanks guys, have a good one.